Welcome to the Auburn Gymnastics Report for this week. We talk it over with Tigers head coach Jeff Grable. Auburn coming off of a season-best performance of 196.225 against the defending national champ Florida Gators this past Friday night. From nearly 5,600 at Auburn Arena. And for the first time this season, Auburn is on the road this week at number 2, LSU. Coach, let's look back at the Friday night performance against the Florida Gators. Got off to a terrific start with the vault on Friday night.
Yeah, that's sort of what we expected to see from our vault team. It was nice to see everybody settle down and do big vaults and do good landings at the same time. Very exciting to watch, actually.
All right. You move from that to the beam, and that's where the meet, if you're just looking at comparative scores between the two teams, that's where things change just a little bit.
Yeah, I thought our first two events we did a pretty good job on, and midway through the meet we were in pretty good shape. Beam was still an improvement over the previous week, which is really how we're looking at it. We're trying to grow as a team, and it was definitely an improvement. But we weren't real overly sharp on beam. We had a couple girls who were, but as a team aspect, we weren't overly sharp on beam. And absolutely, our last two events, those to me were the frustrating ones because you see the potential and you just see they're still a little bit tight up there.
It goes to show how far the Auburn program has gone and what the expectations are inside the program. Because your comment after the meet was 2 years ago we would have killed for a 196. And a 196.225 this past Friday, you knew there was a great deal of room for improvement there.
Yeah, and we talked about that with the team because we have to keep things in perspective. Our expectations have increased, the team itself and us as a staff. So we have to keep it in perspective. It was a very good performance. Our girls were very gritty, very, very tough. I felt like, against the national champ in front of a large crowd in a pretty intense environment, I thought a young team really stood up and did a really good job and gave this national champ a run for their money for a majority of the meet. But if we're going to be brutally honest about it, which is what we have to do with our team, that's been our approach, we still aren't living up to what we believe we're capable of. So, yeah, on one end, it's 50-50. It's hard for me to feel really good about the performance when I know we have more in the tank.
You mentioned after the meet that it's easy to get caught up in your opponent, and it's easy to get caught up in the environment. And those are two things that you and your team have to be better at this point. Right. And I guess that all comes down to focus and focusing on what you're doing at that point.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, that's what I'm alluding to is that I do feel like it's good to get on the road a little bit because, a young team, I feel like it's too easy for them to get caught up in our fans and our environment here. And on top of the fact that we have a national champ on the other equipment with us, so it's just a little bit more that our girls just need to do a good job of managing our workout. We call it getting in the bubble, and I thought our girls did a really good job in the bubble this week compared to the previous week, which basically means that we stayed focused. We did our best to not let the outside get inside, but. We got to get on the road and do it there. And in a lot of ways, I think it might actually, for a young team, it might actually be easier to do it when nobody really wants you to win.
Easy to see, though, how Breeja has become one of the fan favorites.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's amazing to me that we were talking about that right after the meet. I mean, it was from day one with her. Right. She's so. Fun to watch. She's got an enthusiastic personality. Everybody wants to, everybody thinks she's like that all the time. They think that she's this bubbly person, and for the most part she is, but they don't see the extreme competitor that she is and how hard she works. So I get to see all aspects of her, but I'm as big a fan as the fans are.
Yeah. All right, what do you work on this week in practice as you get ready? And we'll start to preview LSU in just a moment.
Well, being on the road is a different rotation. We don't start on vault, we start on bars, and we finish on beam. So in gymnastics, those are the technical events, and a lot of times it's easier. The reason that I think home teams have the advantage is they not only have their home crowd, but they start on power and they finish on power, which in a power event, it's real easy to just shut your brain off and go hard. The technical events, you got to do a little bit more focusing on it. So we're practicing on that yesterday, today. We'll do a little bit of practice tomorrow because we travel all day on Thursday.
Any change in your lineup as you get ready for LSU?
Well, there's going to be a lot of changing coming. I'm not sure it's gonna come up on the score sheet. We're going to utilize a lot of exhibition on the road. We got 3 straight meets, and we just talked with the team about this yesterday. We have to when we get back, it's going to be Alabama at home, and really that's basically past the midpoint of the season for us. So we have to tone down our exhibitions at that point, and we've got to get that stuff out of the way on the road, which really means, Cullen Lawick is somebody that we're trying to get a look at on the other events. We feel like, she's getting back to almost full speed now. So we might be using her in an exhibition role to see what she does. We might be giving, Karen has been our alternate on floor. We might actually give her an opportunity on floor. Not because we're choosing a score thing. It's because we've got 12 meets and we've got to manage people's, health.
All right. Auburn at LSU on Friday night. The Tigers and the Tigers from Baton Rouge. LSU was a Super 6 team a year ago, ranked number 2 in the country this season. And you've received kind of a scouting report that's a legit number 2 ranking this year.
Yep. And, they returned basically much of what they used in the Super 6 last year. So I guess it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that they're this good this year. And they're at home, and they're typically extremely good at home. So we're aware that we're going in. Not the reward, I guess, for going against the national champ is the next week you get to go against number 2. So again, though, for a young team, I want to see if we can rise to the occasion. We got to maybe perform a little sharper than we did this last week, and if we do that, I'm going to feel really good about our chances.
What do you expect with taking so many young kids on the road for the first time?
I'd like to say I know what to expect. It's our first opportunity to teach them our way of our system on the road, which it's pretty regimented about when you go to bed and when you eat, when you do treatments. We get up, we stretch in the morning, that type of stuff. So for them, I'm sure it's going to be a real eye-opener, because even some of our redshirt freshmen, the ones who were injured last year, didn't travel with us. So 4 or 5 girls, this is going to be a very new experience.
Auburn and LSU Friday night, 7 o'clock from the Maravich Assembly Center in Baton Rouge. Wish you all the best. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Tigers head coach Jeff Graba on the Auburn Gymnastics Report.